When I was a little boy, before I could read, my dad would read the funny papers to me. And so every Sunday night, I would go to the newspaper and pull out the comics, and I'd bring it over to him in his chair. I'd crawl up on his lap, and he'd spread it open. He'd read from front to back. I had my favorites like Peanuts and Beetle Bailey, but there were also some comics that he wouldn't read, like Prince Valiant or Mary Worth. And he would come to those and he would read them, but he wouldn't read them out loud. And then he'd skip over to another one that I liked. And I remember asking him, Dad, why don't you read those to me? And he said, they're kind of hard to understand, son. And I didn't like that answer. Well, can't you explain it to me, Dad? And he said, and kind of frustrated, resigned, I don't know, son, it's hard to understand. You just need to pay attention. And that was his way of saying, son, you're just not going to get it. But the advice still holds true into my adult life. When I don't understand something, it's a good idea to get curious and pay attention. And that was the advice I took when someone recommended that I take up the practice of meditation. And I thought, dude, I can't even cross my legs, let alone sit on the floor for an hour. And as I got more curious, I realized that's really not the heart and soul of meditation. Meditation is about becoming familiar with. Literal definition. We become familiar with our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. And that's really the focus that I've discovered in meditating is, do I understand how I think? Do I understand what my body feels? And do I understand my actions enough to have control over them? And without that, I think we just live a general life of autopilot. And what I've discovered is the mind is for thoughts, the body is for emotion, and the action that we take is the combination of those two. And understanding both of those together, not separately, not independently. Someone might say, oh, I'm just not a feeler. I'm really more of a thinker. Thoughts rule my actions. To which I would say that's an incomplete life, because we are not just one or the other. And to honor and to exalt the mind over the body is to dishonor the body. It's to dishonor half of who you are. So it requires thoughts and emotions, because thoughts hold the memories. The body holds the experiences. And we need to listen to both of those if we're going to live a whole and complete life. I discovered the fruit of this when someone said, yeah, meditation will help you in your grief. My wife had just passed. I spent a lot of time on my phone, and because my phone was my lifeline to the outside world, I was alone, I was lonely, I'd text people, I'd call people, I would spend a lot of time connecting with other people, but what I was really doing was I was not paying attention to my loneliness. I was just asking it to be quiet and asking the phone to help me. But any kind of compulsive behavior, I believe, has this transaction. I exchange my self-control for the promise of reward of whatever it is I'm looking to. And I look to the phone, the promise of the phone to take away the loneliness. And it worked for a while. But I became agitated. I became compulsively wanting to grab that. And so I did a little experiment, and I would set the phone just outside of reach. Couldn't reach it, but I could see it. And I would take some time to close my eyes and listen to my thoughts, listen to my body, and when did I start to reach for the phone? How long did it take for those thoughts and those feelings to need to be silent? And so my action was to grab the phone. Now, the phone is not here nor there. The phone is just a device. But the phone is, I gave it power to take something away from me and to deal with something rather than finding that understanding within. And meditation has helped me understand that need for outside stimulation rather than internal understanding. Now, there are a million sources out there for how, and that's not my goal to tell you how to meditate. My role is to tell you why I do it, what I've discovered from it, and why I think it's a good idea. Without curiosity, we'll never understand why we do what we do. And remembering my dad's advice as a little boy, when I don't understand something, get curious and pay attention.